It is time for another edition of Trust Tuesdays here in the Oklahoman's video studio. That means our friends from the Better Business Bureau join us. And Kit Letcher, how are you?
Doing great, thank you.
It is good to see you here on April 18th. We're going to talk about some protocol changes for the IRS that people need to watch out for. Also, you guys have a shredding event this weekend.
We do.
And we're not talking about busting out the air guitar, doing these sort of
That would
shredding.
be really fun. Maybe next year we'll add that.
Or maybe you could have some sort of mascot on the side with the air guitar playing along as people shred their documents. And I do have a question for you about documents and how long people need to keep those, what they can be shredding and things like that. But first of all, as you mentioned, it's April 18th, which means you need to file your taxes, file an extension, make some sort of payment, or face a penalty of some sort.
Right.
But the IRS is introducing some protocol changes, and what does this mean?
Well, the biggest change that they're making is that instead of having somebody only receive a letter, as in years past, this year, if you've got long-term debt that you need to pay off with the IRS, they're actually going to transfer that debt over to a debt collector who's now going to call. And there's some steps that go ahead of that call, but it's very different from what they've done in years past, because typically we've told people if the IRS calls you, it's a scam. Well, times have changed and they need a little bit of help collecting all of the debt that's out there. And so what they're actually doing is they're putting it over this third-party debt collector. You'll be sent 2 letters, one from the IRS, one from the debt collection agency, which gives you some information about who will be calling you, the name of the company, so you have some information to go from. And then when that person calls you, you know it's not just a random or scam phone call.
All right, let's back up for just a second and talk about what you threw out there. Long-term debt, define what that might be for people.
I think that's anything past what they owe for this year.
Gotcha. So
it's not an immediate debt. People that are on a payment plan, this will not include them. Anybody who's under the age of 18, military members who are in certain combat zones won't be affected by this. Anybody who is deceased, so if their families are working on a debt maybe that they owe the IRS, that won't be rolled into this either.
You mentioned that they would be receiving 2 letters. At what point might they expect these letters?
I think all of that information really is on the IRS website.
Gotcha. So it'll define, hey, here's
and so they'll give you the specific parameters about it. But what you need to know is that you are going to get a letter from the IRS, and that is really what gets that ball rolling. You are going to get a letter from the debt collection agency before you ever get a phone call.
And that those debt collection agencies are legit in this case.
They really are. It's a practice that the IRS is now putting in place because there's so much debt out there. They really need help collecting it, and they're not able to staff up enough employees to be able to handle the resources necessary to be able to do that, so they've outsourced it.
That was my next question. What caused this change in procedure?
Yeah, and some of it is a recent legal change, and so it gives them more leverage to be able to outsource that debt collection.
Interesting stuff. You can find out more, as she mentioned, on their website at irs.gov/payments with all the information. Paige Dillard all over it back there in the control room, putting up with our shenanigans, first of all, but then second of all, being on top of the information, which is always appreciated.
But someone's in charge.
It's not me. You can also find out more information at the Better Business Bureau's website, bbb.org/Oklahoma City. And again, April 18th, it's tax day. You need to file or contact the government in some way of what you intend to do.
Today's the day to make it happen.
All right, and Saturday would be the day to, if you have paperwork and documents, to head towards the Better Business Bureau for some shredding. What is that all about?
Come on out. We're going to shred your documents, and it's all a free service that we provide to the community. It's a great event that we have from 10 to 1, and it's actually happening across North America. So it's not just our BBB. It's all BBBs across North America are doing this.
And what's the point?
And really what we want you to do is get the documents out of your house or off of your computer so that you can be identity theft kind of risk averse, if you will. It's a great way to protect yourself so that if somebody happens onto, like if your home is burglarized, for whatever reason, people are going through your trash, you can just protect yourself.
Sure.
There's a lot of documents that you need to get rid of on a regular basis, and we've got a great resource on our website, bbb.org/SYID, Secure Your ID Day.
Secure Your ID.
That has all the information on there about when you should shred certain documents. Some you've got to keep 3 years, some you've got to keep 7 years. So it's good to have that as a template and a rule to go by.
As I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, I was going to ask you about that. For example, my mom has some documents of mom and dad had collected throughout the decades, perhaps, of receipts, tax forms, medical invoices, things like that.
Yeah.
What is the Better Business Bureau's recommendation on some of these things?
You know, each of those things are so specific, especially if it's something that's already been paid off. There's a certain time frame for that. If it's something that you're still working on, bank documents, you know, some of those are 7 to 10 years that you really have to keep them, and keeping them the right way so that if you ever get audited, that you have everything that you need. And our website has all of that information. Okay. The great thing is you can declutter, so you only have the information that you absolutely have to keep on hand, and the rest of it you can get out of your house, and we'll be happy to take care of that for you.
So that's coming up this Saturday, some shredding, thanks to our friends at Absolute Data Shredding. Beyond that, where can people go, like, I don't know, midsummer if they want something shredded? Is there a recommended place?
You know, the Absolute Data Shredding actually does this year round. So they have locations that you can take your stuff to. If you work in an office or you have a business, they can come to your office and do it for you on a regular basis. They come to our office every month and shred our bins for us. So we like to get that out of our office and make sure that we're not keeping confidential or information that's private that could be a threat.
Yeah, you never know. We've spoken about this before on our Trust Tuesday segment here, of where you may have some ID in a document that someone could pick up on that you're not really paying that much attention to. They could link this and this together, and suddenly they have some access to your info.
You know, and it's impressive the little amount of information that they really need to go off of to be able to create a whole other identity for you and a whole other persona for you to be able to open loans or open credit cards or just tie into your current credit. And that's why we really advise people to check their credit every year.
It's good stuff as always every month from the Better Business Bureau. And Kit Letcher, President and CEO. It's great to see you as always.
Thank you. You too.
As we mentioned, more information on the IRS side of things at irs.gov/payments and bbb.org/Oklahoma City. There you see it on your screen. Kit, thanks so much as always.
Thank you.